Hey y'all, it's Chase from River Region Rentals. We are out here picking and dropping some cans today, and we just picked up the first one from out in Appling, Georgia, and we're headed to the transfer station. After that, we're going to re-deliver this one to Harlem, and then we got about 3 more to pick up, dump, and re-deliver. So stay tuned, and we'll show you some action at the transfer station. So one thing we're going to talk about today is my experience in the last 2 months running the Hooklift truck versus the truck and trailer setup. So just to catch y'all up in case you've missed it, before I was running a Ram 2500 4x4 Cummins crew cab with a Cougar manufacturing gooseneck trailer. It was a 20K derated to 16K with a 16-foot rail, and now I'm running a 2025 Peterbilt 537 with the Powfinger T29 and the Sherco SWAT tarp. So the last 2 months post Hurricane Helene, I have learned a lot about the business, and I've got to tell you, all these guys out here and all the groups and all the various things on the internet that tell people don't buy a truck and trailer, get a hook lift. Yeah, maybe. There's something to be said for running a hook lift versus running a truck and trailer, but at the same time, there is a whole lot less barrier to entry in getting started in this business or expanding your business if you're already doing, trailer rental or junk removal or any type of other outdoor property services where you think that adding dumpsters into the mix is a viable avenue for expanding your services, while going out and buying a $100, $200 plus $1,000 hook lift is a great idea in theory. If you've already got a 3/4 ton diesel truck, 10, 15, 20, $25,000 gets you in with a trailer, and so long as you go standard rail or you intend to stick with a proprietary rail system or do a dual rail on your truck, I would encourage you to do standard rail. But you can start with that trailer, do a few months, a few quarters, a few years, and then when you're ready, step up to the next progression. So to tell you about my truck and trailer setup, I had a 2018, I still have it, a 2018 Ram 2500 crew cab Cummins 4x4 with a Cougar manufacturing 20K 16-foot gooseneck. And that had a US tarp, spring electric tarp with a 22,000 pound, I think it's a Warrior winch, and it was great. I'm very, very, very glad and grateful that I started off with a trailer setup like that. Taught me a lot, let me get started in the industry and figure things out, figure out how to work the business as opposed to just work the truck. And now I have got a 25 Peterbilt 537 with a Powfinger T29 and a Sherco SWAT electric over hydraulic tarp. And I'll tell you, this thing's a game changer. An analogy that somebody told me was that once you go to a hook lift from a trailer setup, it's like switching from economy to first class. It just ruins you. So my experience has been that this is basically cheating as far as actually handling dumpsters. Yes, you need to be getting out, checking your latches and your locks, your load, make sure stuff's not poking out. I had one good post-Hurricane Helene storm debris removal job where we were staying on site the entire time. Nothing was going over the road. We were relocating debris, basically getting live loaded, if you will, between two dumpsters, just alternating back and forth at a trailer park. And there were several times it started raining, and I knew that the machine operator was never opening my back door. And he and I had been in communication multiple times throughout the day. He had his AirPods in and I had mine in, so if for any reason we needed to talk real quick, all I had to do was, dial the phone and we could chit chat real quick and keep it moving. Never had to get out of the truck. It rained, and he was in the Bobcat and I was in the truck, and we ran 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 loads in the rain. Neither one of us ever had to get out. Now I will say, you do have to get out to open the back door, and that's about it. But when you're doing things like that, you don't have to. It's safest, it's best practice to check your door, check your load, check your tarp, check your property, the customer's property that you're on. Yeah, so the Hooklift's an absolute game changer. It increases your speed and your efficiency and your power, especially depending on how you've got your power wired up on your trailer. If you have solar, or if you have it hooked up to an AC charger that you plug in the evenings, or if you've got it wired up to your truck, which you should, as long as you keep those batteries charged, for the most part, you're going to have the same pulling power at the end of the day as you do at the beginning of the day, but you're limited by the capacity of your batteries. I want to answer this. Hey, what's up, dude? So we are here at Georgia Hat Company headquarters in Applin. Got a phone call that some of our merch was ready. We get all our uniforms and hats and shirts and everything from Georgia Hat Company. So we stopped by to pick up a new package. So we've got new uniform shirts and multiple different colors, all embroidered, done out here in Applin. So while we're out here picking up a container and dumping and getting ready to head to Harlem, it's always nice to stop and pick up some new gear. So now that we've talked about the differences and my experiences with the truck and trailer setup versus the Hooklift setup, I want to talk about my decision to actually go ahead and purchase the Hooklift truck. So we've been in business for just over 3 years now, and added roll-offs in about, 6 months, 8 months, 9 months, something like that, back in the spring. And we were running a truck and trailer setup, which was fine and was doing great until a little storm called Hurricane Helene happened. And when Hurricane Helene came through Augusta's river region, fortunately we weren't wiped off the face of the earth like Asheville and some of the other places in North Carolina. But Augusta is essentially a city in the middle of a pine forest. And it was essentially like the world just got brought down onto entire neighborhoods. I mean, Montclair was terrible. Everything along Walton Way was awful. Columbia and Richmond County were absolutely devastated. The number of homes that had trees on them and just absolute catastrophic damage to the roofs, and not just the shingles, but the structure with the framing and stuff like that. The sheathing was penetrated. The number of people who lost their lives and their homes and everything they had, it's just awful. So we were keeping up, but it was everything that we could do to keep up with the truck and the trailer. And I just had a sense that I was going to absolutely kill it, whether it be the winch or the transmission or something. I mean, it was just constantly. I mean, I was just beating it down. And I thought that it would be a year and a half, 2 years before I ever needed to get a Hooklift truck. And one day, I was sitting in line at the landfill, like the city of Augusta, Richmond County landfill, which is awful. I was there for hours, and I was like, I need a Hooklift truck. I need to go to the next level, because otherwise I'm not going to be able to operate with the efficiency that I need to keep up with the demand and be able to serve the community through being able to provide dumpsters. All the dumpsters were out all the time, and it was doing everything I could just to keep up. So I made a couple phone calls and found out that this truck was essentially complete, and added a couple options and specs as far as toolboxes and backup camera and strobe lights and things like that. Speaking of, so a few weeks later, the Tampa dumpster runner Sunday barbecue was coming up, and I was having a conversation with Joe Maxey, and he mentioned that the guys from Rubel were already intending to bring a truck down. And made a couple phone calls and arranged to have the truck brought down there. Picked it up and drove it home. Well, actually, Jeff drove it to my dad's office just outside of Atlanta and left it there. And then on the way home from Tampa, I grabbed it, and my dad took me back up to the office the next day to get my Ram. But basically, since first week of November, been running the truck, and I'll tell you, it is a game changer. It completely changes the ability, the pace, obviously the efficiency, but just it increases your capability, the number of cans that you can run in a day, how long it takes you, how easy it is to back in, just completely different world. I'm glad to have started on a trailer. I think that anybody who would discourage somebody from getting in, starting on a trailer, I don't know if it's an owner operator perspective or if it's just being in the big leagues for too long, but I find it, absent being a trust fund recipient, I find it difficult to imagine getting into this with 10, 12 plus cans and a truck, because you're potentially looking at $250,000 or $500,000 investment just to get started. So starting with a truck and a trailer, it was great. Now that I got a Hooklift, wouldn't go back. Flying first class here, maybe.